Good morning.
Good morning, Little Oak Weekly.
Little Oak Weekly. Summer edition.
It's the summer. Sorry, I'm turning my phone so it doesn't make noise. It is summer edition.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Very good.
Yeah.
Had a nice time away. We went away like the end of June.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of July. So basically once school was over, we should keep this close. We went away and
Got a nice tan.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time. Even when I've been home though, I like spending time outside. So
Nice.
Cut the grass in the sunshine. And
Any more plans for the summer? Are you guys going away?
we might. There's maybe like a weekend here, but like nothing of significance. We have Kristen's families in Manitoba. We might zip out to Manitoba for a few days.
Sweet.
So yeah,
Nice.
but generally around, and I had my turned my brain off there for a little while, but now it's
Go.
back into the grind of the challenges of the market, and trying to figure out life and help agents figure out life and navigate these times. So
Sweet.
yeah. What
Awesome.
about you? Did you go away? You went away.
We went away to the island. We're going to go away in August for a little bit, but
Cool.
It's mostly just work, chilling. My kids live in Harrison for the summer. So
How do they do that?
Christina's parents have like those RV parks.
Yeah.
And it's like heaven. Like they're outside
Amazing.
all day. They're in a pool. They're with friends. They actually go there.
So they go there without you.
Oh yeah.
They're-
It's amazing.
That's a gift.
It is amazing. Christina will sometimes go and visit.
It's incredible. That's even.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh yeah.
Take your time.
I'll
Take your
stay home.
time.
That's fine. I'll man the house.
That's amazing.
But so it actually is really good because it's great for getting stuff done.
Yeah.
But,
So I have an agenda today.
Yeah.
I know you have a bit of an agenda, but I want to talk about subject to sale offers in transactions from all
side.
different angles.
Cool.
Yeah. I did something in this last week. So I had been encountering this in my own transactions increasingly more, as we all, I think, the data would say we are. So I just randomly called a bunch of property sales just to see what I would find out in terms of how many people are sold properties, how many people either sold it as a result of a subject to sale offer or encountered a subject to sale offer in the process of selling.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know I knew the numbers were going to be high, but I didn't know what to expect. But what I found in my very small sample size, I can maybe talk to 15 or 20, I didn't do hundreds or whatever. But based on my findings, I would suggest that probably somewhere in the area of 1/3 of sales that are happening right now, are probably subject to sale transactions.
Like closed with a subject to sale on them.
It's sold with a subject to sale offer.
Okay.
Now, of course, the data gets skewed. Like where this is more common is the higher end you go, the more expensive the property.
Sure.
The more likelihood that there's a subject to sale in place. So, like if you talk to a bunch of cheap age restricted condos, you're not going to get a lot of that.
Yeah.
But the higher you go, the more common it is. And then the other question I ask people is like, okay, so, whether you did or you didn't sell with a subject to sale, how many people tried one,
Sure.
maybe like spun their tires with one and it didn't work out, or at the very least had a ready, willing, and able buyer who was subject to sale and maybe they chose not to go with it or whatever. And I mean, that's where it's like overwhelmingly, like it might be as high as like 90% of properties, maybe not that high, but like a lot where they could have had one, they saw one, there was one presented. But then I would say it might even be as high as 50% or higher if you just said properties where it worked or they tried to make one work.
Right.
So it's incredibly high. And what I've observed in my own practice of doing sales is that I think there's people that are navigating this well. And I think there's a lot of people who aren't navigating this well, both from representing a seller and representing a buyer, and then just utilizing, best practices and strategies in that process. So I kind of want to hit.
What was your reason
all of
for
that.
asking? What was the thought? Like, what was the thing that made you curious? Is it just because you've been seeing a lot? You were curious?
Literally, no, like for this to be able to have.
Okay.
To be able to have because, like, so currently, right now, like I have been in subject to sale transactions this year, right? I've done them successfully, both from repping a seller and repping a buyer. I'm in a buyer one right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've, in my own experience, I've had my own opinions where I'm like, I don't think this person knows how to handle this well, or I've encountered people where I think, I think they know how to handle it really well.
Mm-hmm.
Within the last couple months, I did something successfully with some other really good agents where we did a 4 domino transaction.
Oh, fun.
We had 4. It went Langley Townhouse to Abbotsford House to Abbotsford Townhouse to Port Coquitlam Townhouse.
Crazy.
So we had to we had to have the first domino fall.
Yeah.
And so what happened is through a bunch of, grunt work of the agents, we ended me and another agent end up, we talk like, hey, well, my person wants to buy this person wants to buy that. Well, what do you got to sell? And then that leads to like, okay, well, what's going on here? And then what we discovered in the process is like, hey, if we have the ability to handpick interested parties here who, yes, they're all subject to sale, but we've got good agents in every scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all in communication saying, okay, here's what we're going to try to do. And clients are all on board for this. Like, they're all saying like, yeah, let's make it work. And so we did it.
Wow.
And it took, the better part of like, I would say a month.
Yeah, sure.
Or more, but maybe around a month to like make all the dominoes fall. And of course,
really cool when it all does.
In that process, we had to like, imagine what you're navigating. You got to protect everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't have a scenario where somebody's got a firm and binding deal on their place, but then they get bumped on the place they're trying to buy. And now they've committed to a sale and they don't have anywhere to go.
Yep.
So we navigated it front to back to front, making sure everyone's protected, being very transparent in the conversation with everybody going, okay, like, here's what I need. Here's what we need. Like the dates come into everything. Like you're talking about everything. You're laying it all on the table and you're going, okay, here's what everybody wants. Can we put this all together? Yes, we can. Okay, great. Now we hit go. And then where we're hitting go, it's starting with the first domino. You need the first domino to fall. Then the second domino falls, and the third and the fourth.
Right.
So obviously the fourth is easier because on the fourth, on the end, that person's just going to buy something. And, by the time we got that was the easy.
It's really
part.
the two in the middle.
So I was one of the middles.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I was the third. So it went Langley Townhouse, Abbotsford House, Abbotsford Townhouse, which was my listing.
Yep.
And then my people from my Abbotsford Townhouse they bought another, I might have misspoke. It went Langley Townhouse to Abbotsford Home to Abbotsford Townhouse, who buy another Abbotsford Townhouse, and that person goes and buys Poco.
Oh, geez. Okay. So
there was an extra. Sorry. There was 5. Okay. Well, with the counting the last purchase, there's 5. There was 4 people involved. So I was the third domino that triggered the last sale that triggers the purchase. So anyways, we did it, and we did it 100% because of the skill and experience of the agents involved,
for sure.
And knowing what can be done and what can't be done in those situations. And ultimately you need buy-in from all of the clients, right? They have to, but we did it. And then I'm in the middle of another subject to sale right now where I'm repping a purchaser. And we're almost done and we've navigated that well. So anyways, I want to talk about all these things.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah, fire away.
Okay. So you're working on the buyer side. Are you finding, I'm kind of curious because it goes into the questions that you ask these agents too. Are you finding that it's harder to sell the subject to sale to the selling agent or because like what I'm curious about is how many of those people had a subject to sale offer and said like either we're like, no, I don't want it. But then is there remorse afterwards because now they maybe had to sell for less? Or?
Yeah, sure. So like there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. And like let's just stare at the facts here. For the better part of a decade, we got out of the practice of needing to do subject to sale.
Yep.
So there's a large swath of agents in our marketplace.
They just haven't experienced them.
They don't know how to do it. They've never done it. So it's not like nobody's bad or stupid here, but like if you haven't done it
against it though, because they haven't done it.
Well, we trained. Yeah, we had such and I don't mean this the wrong way, but like the arrogance and confidence that we could have
like through 21
on behalf of the seller with sellers from 2015.
Yeah, sure.
All the way through to 2023.
Yep.
You know, there was a little blip there in 2019, you know, pre-COVID where the market got a little softer, but by and large for 8-9 years, I mean, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there was unique times where it could work, but by and large, it's not happening. It was happening at a rate. I'll bet you it was happening at a rate of like less than 5%.
Sure.
It was barely
super
happening.
tiny. Yep.
Whereas like, look at what we're in now. And so we've got a number of things happening. I mean, we've got, a large percentage of agents who are either out of practice or who have never done it.
Mm-hmm.
We've still got old thinking out there that says you can't do it. You shouldn't do it. It's a dumb thing that we're waiting for a cash buyer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say, best practice in most circumstances is absolutely, in this environment, is absolutely to sell first, then buy.
Sure.
You and I both know someone who did that, right? And those people were selling a townhouse in Langley and buying a townhouse in Abbotsford. And through a process of education and getting comfortable with what's available and laying out all the options, they made the choice with guidance to sell first, become cash buyers in the marketplace. And they did really, really well on their purchase and didn't end up homeless and got everything they wanted. But that's...
Do you think that's a hard sell though on the agent side too, to the person? Like,
well, I think it's a remarkably hard sell when you've got varying degrees of experience in agents.
Yep.
And I mean, that's not saying the agent's bad, but if the agent hasn't been here before and doesn't have a lot of experience and can't point to a lot of success stories, that can be challenging. And then you also just have people that are, we've got people that have brain damage from, and take that the right way, but from the last number of years where like, if you sold first, you would be homeless.
Yeah.
So there's just that scar tissue that we have that takes a long time to overcome. You got to remember, like
that was the norm.
If you go back to like any time prior to like 20, I would even say even not even as far, like if you get, when you went to 2015, 2016, like, and then anytime before that, even through the previous fast market of 2002 to 2007, we never had this. It was always sell first, buy second.
Yep.
That was the belief. That's what you did because everyone knew that that's the way you can buy. You just can't buy well subject to sale.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all good and fine. Things change and we're in a different place now. And so we have to adapt and navigate this. And so I think where I see, there's a few points where I see this falling apart and not going well for people. And it can go well, but it all comes down to educating our clients and preparing them to do this successfly. And there's a lot of ways where you can think you're working towards a transaction and you absolutely are not. It will never work. So, I'll say, so understanding that, best practice is still sell first, then buy.
Yep.
Sometimes that can't happen. It's not going to happen. So if it's not going to happen, then when you're talking from the perspective of a buyer, the thing that needs to be clearly communicated, which I say very openly to my clients, I said to my clients that I'm working with right now, we did a subject to sale. I said, when we choose this path, we are giving up leverage, and leverage is the most important thing.
They would have gone through that though in the offer side of their listing, right? Had their listing at that point already gotten this subject to sale offer on it?
No.
Okay.
Correct. So who's listed? The buyers?
The client that you had.
No. So here's the, so I'll roll out from so you're working with someone who's wants to buy something. Generally speaking, most people want to buy up.
Yep.
If you're buying down, oftentimes subject to sale is less relevant or whatever, but it can happen. But generally speaking, people are going up, right? So if you're going to take that path, there's a few things that you just, in my opinion, absolutely must do. So there's, you've gotten through the education experience of, what are we trying to buy? Is it out there? And generally what this lands on for a lot of people is they go, well, yeah, we know there's something we can buy, but there's not a million of them out there, which is why they're not willing to just list their home because they don't want to be homeless. And we only want to move for the right reason, right? Like this is the typical conversation. So that's all good and fine.
Is it still typical for them to say there's not many of what they want out there? Because
so the thing that I will totally agree with is that, yes, we have a lot of inventory, but a lot of the inventory we have right now is recycled, overpriced. And a lot of it, I don't have the data on this, but a lot of it, like if you just go through the inventory and look, okay, how many, just randomly grab 100 properties. How many of these properties were purchased in 2022 or 2023 around the peak of the market? And a lot of them were. So there was a lot of transactions that happened in that time, rightly or wrongly, whatever. There's some regret. It's a lot of that stuff that's driving our inventory levels right now. A lot of these properties have just been through or are coming up to a mortgage renewal. Costs are going to increase. And so these properties are what, like I would bet of the 8,000 or 9,000 residential listings that are on the market right now, if I were to just pick a number, I would say 30% of those were purchased.
Right.
And I mean, I haven't looked at this, so whatever, maybe that, but like if I were to just take a guess, I'm going to suggest that 30% or more were actually bought. These people have only owned them since 22 or 23.
And a good portion of those then are probably overpriced right now.
Yes, because they're people are in trouble. They're trying to get out. So you don't actually have as much real inventory as you think you have, right? So that's one of the things that's adding to it. So if you're going to go down this path, what you've got to do is have this conversation with your clients. Say, okay, we're giving up leverage in any negotiation we go to because we're not a cash buyer. We're asking a seller to take a subject to sale. But the way we can reclaim some leverage, because we know there's a lot of other people in the marketplace like us right now, the way we can reclaim some leverage is we need to be totally ready to go on our listing, which means media's done, staging's done, like whatever you've got to do to prep that listing, like you could hit a button tomorrow and it's ready to go to market. Right. Now, there's two reasons for that. Number one, you need to be able to communicate that to the seller. Number two, that is that's a great litmus test for how you can test how engaged and ready to go is this client. If there's pushback on that and they go, no, we don't want to go through that. Well, then you got to, well, how committed are we to this process? Because if we're going to show up to a seller and say, hey, seller, here's our subject to sale offer. And oh, by the way, it's going to take us a week to get on the market or more because we're not ready and everything's not dialed and the fix-ups haven't been done. The photos aren't taken. The measurements aren't done. And then also, most importantly, what is the price? Has the price been discussed? And is the price a sharp price where you're confident you can sell it in this market within a couple of weeks?
Is the general conversation with these people that they're actually looking to buy and they want to know understanding buying before they're even selling? Like this, is that pretty normal? Like so again, you've got the person that wants to sell, but they want to buy and they're going to be a subject to sale, but they don't want to list. They want to go and look at houses and put offers and then put it on the market.
Oh yes.
Why though? Yeah. What's the hold up to
the fear, the fear of being homeless.
They can't
and selling. Okay. And selling. Yeah, you're asking. I like the way you're asking the question because you're going, this is illogical. Yeah, you're right. It kind of is, but it's not. If you step into the shoes,
the brain of that person, like I get it.
Yeah, well, nobody wants to be homeless. No, and most people only want to move if they can get that type of property, whatever that, like this specific thing. So, so the way you reclaim leverage in the negotiation is you are totally ready to roll. You have a price that's been established that you are 100% confident in is a saleable price very, very quickly. If you can tick all of these boxes, you actually, in this environment, you become a much more attractive buyer again because so much of the buyers you're competing against have not done this. Right. So if you can tick those boxes, and you can get to a place where, okay, we're ready to go, property can go to market, it's saleable. Now, when you go and view properties and hypothetically enter into negotiation, surprisingly, you've got a decent amount of leverage in the marketplace because of how many people are not doing this. And then now where's where you get into...
When you say not doing this, what's the alternative? What is the other agent?
Oh, there's people running around out there right now. Okay, case in point. So I just brought a property to market, a house in Mission where, we were priced well and it's a good deal. And we had a ton of showings through, the first 4 or 5 days. And, in years gone by, if you had 16 showings, one would guess that of, 16 showings that get in right away, you've probably got you might even have 10 people that are ready to roll.
Right.
Well, upon investigation and talking to agents, I was shocked at how many of those people were not even they weren't ready to roll. They would be subject to sale and their properties were not ready to go. And then when I asked, well, what is it? How saleable? What's the price? Well, we haven't established that yet.
That's
so there's
a big problem,
there's a really high level. Now,
is it the same level of problem though, as if somebody, it's already on the market and you look at that one and it's been on for 45 days, 50 days. Are you as nervous about that?
About what?
The buyer who's trying to put a subject sale on your
No.
listing?
So herein lies the opportunity. So, and this is the opportunity and it's also the rub, because when somebody says, I want to buy, I'm only moving for this.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just pick an example, right? Let's say it's a house in a good neighborhood with suite ability. Let's not even say basement suite.
Sure.
And whatever, it doesn't matter the neighborhood, whether you say it's Brookswood or Fort Langley or
Sure.
Mission or whatever, it doesn't matter. When that property comes up and it's priced well,
mm-hmm.
well, now guess what? You're competing against the rest of the market that's also looking for that. And with something that's priced well, what do we know? Homes that are priced well are still selling very quickly right
days,
now.
Yeah.
Oh, not even. That's the average.
The average is 30.
That's an average.
Yep.
So an average is exactly that. If you just took, what are the properties that are priced well and how fast they sell? They sell in 10 days.
Yeah.
12 days, 5 days.
Right.
They still go very quick. So everybody wants to buy of whatever type of property they're looking at. We all want the nice complex, the nice location, all the features. Well, if that comes up priced well,
mm-hmm.
it's gone. So attempting to go down the subject to sale path, you are almost always conceding that you're not able to buy that property.
Right.
You're able to buy the property that maybe has all those features, but it's not priced sharp.
Right.
Because if it's price sharp, it's selling to somebody else who doesn't have to sell right away.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody who's got a mom and a dad who are chipping in or whatever, right? Now, that doesn't mean that the opportunity is gone, because there are still lots of properties out there that tick people's boxes, but the reason they haven't sold is because they're overpriced.
Yeah.
So generally what you're doing, if you're successfully managing a subject to sale transaction, is more often than not, you're buying something that wasn't priced sharp enough to sell.
You're not competing most of the time.
Generally not, but sometimes.
Sure.
So, you can find leverage in the negotiation from the perspective of a buyer
mm-hmm.
if you're ready to roll and if you have a really saleable product. And then what can happen is there's properties out there that have sat for a month or two, and there's nothing wrong with the properties. It's only the price that's the issue.
Yep.
And you can sometimes negotiate market deals, market value in a bit of a silo, because imagine a property is on the market for 1.6 and the market might look at it and go, well, that should really be priced under 1.5. You bring a subject to sale offer in secrecy that nobody knows about. It's not public. And maybe your accepted offer is 1.48.
Mm-hmm.
And the sellers took it because whatever, they didn't want to reduce their price. This is the way they wanted to go.
Yep.
And now you've managed to negotiate what is market value,
right,
subject to sale. And the rest of the market doesn't even know that these sellers were willing to sell for 1.48 because their price was 1.6 and people didn't assume that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it can, that's the process in which it can work. You can buy, you can do a deal where you're paying in and around market value. Sometimes though, I'll say in this process, the way that you successfully manage this is that, and I think it's important to share this with your clients, more often than not, someone buying subject to sale is paying more than someone who's not.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people are okay with that.
Sure.
And they go, well, hey, this is the way we're willing to do it. And so as long as we feel comfortable with the price, sure, maybe someone else could have bought it for less if they were cash or whatever, but we don't have that option. So if we can negotiate something we're happy with, and maybe from the perspective of a seller, they know that the only way they're getting this number is from somebody who's subject to sale.
Right.
Because they've had people come through who are cash buyers and they haven't chose to buy it for that.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all of these little, complexities and layers to this, and we need to be aware of these things. We need to be educating our clients, and we can successfully help them navigate this process if it's handled well. Now, the other piece you get into, so, let's say you've gotten that far. You've ticked all the first boxes.
Yeah.
You got a buyer who's ready to put their home on the market, and you can negotiate something. Well, now it gets into like, well, what type of offer other than price can you negotiate? Specifically when it comes to terms, your subject to sale clause, and the amount of protection you have in the way of the bump clauses that people put in.
What year? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there's what can be done, and I've done this in practice. If you can tick all those boxes and you can show a seller, we're saleable, we're ready to get to market right away. You've spun your tires on the market for 2 months already. You haven't found anybody else. We want a runway now. We want a runway where we're not going to get bumped. And so I've done this twice this year where I write subject to sale offers with no bump for a month. So for a month, we're completely protected. And the way to navigate that and argue that is that any deal that we do in most situations, we are conceding in this market nearly in almost 2 weeks of no bumping any deal you do, right? Because if you do a traditional deal with conditions in a lot of cases have spilled out close to 2 weeks because of the time of financing. Sure. So we're not asking for a month.
2 weeks.
You're giving 2 weeks. 2 weeks is done. What we're asking for is 2 weeks. And maybe it's like an extra week and a half or whatever. And you're going to give us that extra time because you don't have another buyer in front of you who's willing to give you what we're willing to give you. We've proved to you that the saleability of the product that we're ready to go to market with is very, very high.
Yep.
Right? Now, you can't have that conversation if you haven't done those things.
Sure.
If you haven't done everything, you got the photos, you got the price, you got everything. And part of the negotiation is look at what you're showing them. This is what we're selling. Look at how great this is. Look at how well priced it is.
And you're talking,
It will be the best priced townhouse, the best priced condo, the best priced house, whatever. Now you go and secure yourself protection for a long enough runway.
And then how long are you asking to have time to sell it? Like when you're...
Well, that's what I'm saying, like...
You're doing the month where you can't be bumped, but what are you saying?
Well, you don't need... If you can't get it done in a month,
yeah,
you've in my opinion, you've made a misstep somewhere.
So
because even in this environment, every property, now, with a couple exceptions, I sold a townhouse this year where I had to go through 4 offers.
Right.
It wasn't anything we did wrong. We picked the right price. We chose what we thought was the best buyer every time. And we literally had 3 people cave the deal. We had to get to 4. So there are unique circumstances. So we're going to throw that out because nothing can work if but that's not the majority of the time. If you give yourself a month and you got a saleable property priced properly, month is all you need.
So I'm just as an example, what would you be putting for that subject removal though? If you've got these subject removals that are going to be your normal 10-day or whatever, what are you suggesting?
Well, I'm going
doing a month.
It's something like this. It's like you put all your regular conditions in, and all the other conditions other than the subject to sale maybe come off in 2 weeks.
Sure.
And the subject to sale goes to a month. Yep. But the biggest difference is that subject to sale either doesn't have any bump clause at all, and it's just a month of subject to sale, or, these are the things you have to negotiate. Like maybe there's some version of a bump, but that bump only kicks in after a certain period of time. Right. Still negotiating, though, the longest protection runway possible so that you can actually see this thing through. Because if you're going to, if a client in the buying position who needs to sell is going to insist that this is the way we need to do this for whatever reason, great. I can concede. Yeah, I understand. Well, here's the way it can happen successfully.
Where you can actually be successful.
We need to make sure that we can see this thing through to the end. And the way we can do that is we can create leverage by being so ready and so saleable on our property that we have to sell that we can dictate some of these terms on our purchase negotiation. So by the time you get in that deep, you get into that process that deep, everyone's committed. Nothing's going to upend this deal unless it's massive, because so much time and effort and energy has been put in that, people get to a point of just total commitment. They're going we're doing this. We've come this far. We've negotiated all this. A small inspection issue or whatever is not going to upend the deal.
Yeah.
But if people aren't committed in the process, they haven't gone through the process of preparing their property, accepting what market value is. Well, how committed are they? They're not committed
Sure.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just see people spinning their tires, running around with these buyers showing properties. So like case in point, like this property that I listed in Mission, which was, I would suggest it was probably the best priced home in Mission under $1 million. We had like, I don't know, 15, 16 showings in.
Yeah.
I would say of the 15, 16 showings, people who were actually ready to go, whether they were cash or subject to sale under the circumstances we're talking about, maybe 4 or 5.
What do the other ones hope will happen?
Well, okay. So giving the most charitable answer to that, I would say like there is a time and a place for going and looking at properties if you're just getting your toes in the water and you're going through the education process, right? Mm-hmm. You do need to do that. Yep. So some of those people, maybe they're just educating themselves because in a month or 2 or 3, they're going to be buying.
Yep.
Fine. That's all important. But throwing that out, there's a large chunk of people right now who are doing this over and over and over with people. And it's no longer education. It's a lack of precision in strategy, which, I mean, this is where we can elevate our game as agents. Right. This is how if you want to be better and do more transactions and make more money, it's learning how to navigate these things with strategy and having tough conversations with people and earning their trust in hoping that they'll follow you.
When you say these people are doing it over and over, are you suggesting that buyers are swapping between realtors because they just want to keep trying?
No, it's agents that are not
having that conversation,
have not developed the skills because they haven't been in this scenario before, haven't put the work in. Maybe they just have bad habits. Who knows? But right now we've got clearly there's a lot of people out there who say they want to transact and they're not transacting. Now, some of them won't transact. I get it. Yeah. Like some of them are just, they're time wasters, whatever. They think that, but if we elevated our skills and our strategy, we would be able to sort through those, and some of them would be able to transact in this market if the situation was handled better than it's currently.
Would you say the majority of the offers that you've seen on the selling side then don't have that, that haven't put that thought through? Like, are you seeing a lot of agents that are putting the offers in, but?
Well, it's very common right now for people to get offers subject to sale where
it's not on the market.
It's not on the market. It can't even get on the market tomorrow. I mean, and there's like, there's people that you'll encounter. Well, they'll tell you, yeah, we're ready to go. But then when you press the flash and you say, okay, well, show me your photos. Oh, photos haven't been done yet.
It's so
tell me your price. Well, we're talking in this range. Okay, well, we're gonna I had a scenario going back a number of months ago where I said, okay, well, we might entertain this, but where's the property? Show it to me, and I'm going to do my own evaluation. And if you guys are willing to price it where we think you need to be, then we'll talk.
Yeah.
But then the conversation very quickly fell apart because in that particular case, I thought the place had to be like high 7s.
Right.
And they were targeting like mid 8s. But they hadn't even finalized it. And I could tell it was a scenario where they were probably going to pick a number based on what they were able to negotiate with us. So the more we asked them to pay, the higher their number was going to go on their sale. Sorry, really it doesn't work that way.
Like I mean, I don't remember the specific years as well as you do, but going back to like 2010, somewhere in that range, I remember the idea of a subject to sale if the house was not on the market was insane. Like subject to sales where the house is already on the market, we can show that we're trying to sell it. It's interesting to me now that it's really taken a shift.
Okay, so and this is where like I think we need a mindset shift. And I would even say that 2 years ago, I wasn't in the place I am today with the thinking around this topic, but we need to embrace this and figure out how to do it well, because it does not work if we just look at the marketplace and take this stance of like, I don't do that. We don't do this. Okay. Well, guess what? We are then releasing a certain amount of transactions that could happen.
Sure.
We're just saying no to them.
Yeah.
So what's that percentage? Is it 10% more? Is it 15, 20% more? I don't know, but it's not a small number. And if you learn how to navigate it well and do it skillfully, you can do it.
Right.
You can have transactions that you otherwise wouldn't have had if you learn how to do this well. Now that's, so the strategy from, if you're representing the buyer, who needs to sell something, but you're on the buyer side, that's one thing. And then there's, the other angle too of like, okay, well, I'm repping a seller and, this is stupid. We shouldn't have to do this because, we're not doing this. And so why should we have to do it? And so it's quite simple. I want to say in most cases, I want to be careful not to say everything's the same, because here's the reality. If you're selling a $3 million, $4 million acreage, it's far more common that someone who needs to buy that needs to sell. I mean, yes, there's people with like uber amounts of money out there, but the higher in the price point you go, the more likely it is that somebody needs to sell something in order to buy it. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they had the courage to just buy it and then sell. But today, like even, wealthy people, if they're wanting to buy something that's worth $3 million and they own a property that's worth 1.8 or thereabouts, there's not many people going like, oh yeah, I'll just commit to that and then I'll figure this out. So, the higher you go, the more common this is, and it can be navigated quite well. So from the perspective of, if you're repping a seller and, I think it's important that when we take listings and we're having initial meetings, this is something that needs to be discussed right from the beginning, right? Like, from maybe not like in the initial meeting, but like when you're getting into the strategy and the pricing talk and you're going to market, if they don't bring it up, you should bring it up. But quite often people will bring it up and they'll say like, what about this? Are we doing this? And, this is somewhat related to, number one, the type of property you're selling, and number two, the pricing strategy that you've chosen. If you are going to market and you're priced really, really, really sharp, let's throw out the ultra expensive property for a second and just talk about, the median, whether it's a townhouse or a house, but it's not ultra high end. If you're priced really, really well, there's a high level of probability it'll never even be something you have to consider, because still in this environment, we all know this. We see this every day. Like what does everyone say? Homes that are priced well still sell really, really quick, right? So it's not relevant. However, if you're picking a price that is maybe pushing the limits of value, and, I understand in those conversations, like maybe as the agent, you feel that way and the seller doesn't quite feel that way, and you pick a number that's higher, it's okay. As long as you've brought it up and you've discussed it and what that might look like, then when you get to that moment, there's good ways to navigate that. So imagine for a second, the sharp price that would have been the sell quickly, is 1.399 or whatever, right? But you went to market at 1.499 or 1.475 or whatever. And so you had showings. It's a nice property, but like nothing has caught. And like the feedback has been, we like it, but we're still looking. And,
will people tell you that they think it's too high, or is it, do you still get the
whether they tell you or not, if you've gone through a bunch of showings and you've sat on the market for 3 or 4 weeks,
already know that
you know. But then what can happen in that process? A buyer comes through, they have something to sell. And this is where our strategy and skill as agents can dictate whether or not we find transactions that we otherwise wouldn't find. Because in the process, you may encounter, hey, this person really likes this home. They've got this property to sell. Our options here are like, we can keep doing what we're doing and maybe we'll encounter another buyer down the road, but how likely is it that we encounter a buyer who wants to come along and pay us close to what we're asking the longer we sit on the market? Like, the evidence is mounting against us that we're overpriced. So, if we slash the price to 1.399, could we get a sale? Yes, probably, but not everyone's always willing to do that. And in the process, you might encounter a buyer who really likes the home. And keep in mind, that's the type of buyer who we've just talked about, where maybe that buyer's willing to pay a little bit more.
Right.
Consciously or subconsciously, they're making that decision because they don't have quite the leverage of a cash buyer, but they want to know where they're going and then they'll get their place listed. So if you can identify a trustworthy agent, a great buyer who this is the right fit for, then there are ways to successfully handle that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, from the perspective of the seller, you're going, okay, or the agent, the selling agent, you're going, or listing agent, I should say, you're going, okay, should we try to do a deal with these guys where, maybe we're getting a number that we're satisfied with? And is it worth it to give them a long runway where they don't get bumped? Because now we can give them the confidence to move forward and do this. And this is a way that
would you suggest that on the selling side as well, to give them that no bump clause for a month?
I've done it.
At your suggestion for the buyer side?
Sure. So this is where you have to have the heart-to-heart conversation. Yeah. And you go, guys, I'm just using this as an example, but we went to market at 1499.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to hear this, but here's the reality. We want to sell tomorrow. We're going to 1399. We're selling for 138.
Yeah.
There's a lot of buyers in the marketplace that'll do that tomorrow. We can be sold.
Mm-hmm.
But we got a buyer here
yeah.
that we could probably negotiate 1.43 or 1.44 from. And yeah, they have to sell this, but I got a lot of confidence in that agent. We've talked about the price of the property. I believe it's going to be the best price townhouse, whatever it is. This is a path we can take. Now there's some risk with this path, right? This whole thing could blow up on us and it might not work. A month
further.
But is it worth it to us to try to get that extra 40, 50 grand that we might not otherwise get from anybody else?
Yeah.
And so, this is a way for it to work. And it is working successfully. I'm watching these transactions happen in the marketplace. And, you can argue till you're blue in the face. Well, what's market value? What's not market value? Whatever. Bottom line is this. Generally speaking, cash buyers pay a little bit less than subject to sale buyers do. And that's okay, because subject to sale buyers are getting something in exchange for that. They're getting security, peace of mind, right? And this is why some of those buyers are willing to pay more, because they go, well, I know what I'm getting.
Right.
I know I can now go at this. And in the scheme of things, the 20, 30, 40 grand or whatever,
sure,
it doesn't matter as much to me as the fear of being homeless and having to move twice, because there's a cost to that too.
Yep.
So this is how people justify it. And I can totally get on board with that, because yes, there is a chance if you sell first and try to buy, you could be homeless.
Sure.
And you could have to move twice. And there's a cost to that. So we're just reshuffling chips across the board, going, what is more value to us and what are we willing to pay for? So it's these, there are right ways and wrong ways to navigate this. But where I think we're falling on our faces is that this is not being intelligently discussed from a strategy perspective early on in the relationship. And then when we get to these moments, because it hasn't been discussed transparently and honestly, around some of these things we're talking about with value and what to expect, then when you get to it, you can't manage it well, because it's being introduced. You're already into the transaction. And someone's going, well, I thought we weren't going to have to do this. Why do we have to do this? This is crazy, from the perspective of a seller, or from the perspective of a buyer going, well, no, why do I have to get photos done in advance? And why, well, back the truck up. Had we had this conversation early and talked about expectations and what works and what doesn't work, then none of this is a surprise to anybody.
Right. How many offers though are you getting from the buying side that are that well thought out, where they're subject to sale?
Incredibly low numbers. So
I don't understand the expectation of I know the buyer. I understand the buyer's mentality, because people are scared. They want to go first. They think they know everything. They can read stuff online. I don't understand the agent side though. I don't understand why you would want to take the time.
It's just okay. So again, there's a couple things here. Number one, everyone's doing their best.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a sale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that at the base of all of this, the intent is good.
Sure.
It's not like people are going out wanting to make mistakes or wanting to waste their time.
Yep.
The problem is that we have, so currently right now, I think it's 47 or 4,800 realtors in the Fraser Valley board, right?
It's crazy.
A overwhelming large percentage of that number, and I don't know what it is, but let's just make up a number that would be somewhat accurate. I'm going to say 3,000 or more were not licensed prior
Right.
to 2015. And maybe the number's higher.
Yeah,
maybe it's 4,000. I don't know. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's lack of experience.
Right.
And like real world knowledge, having
Yeah.
never been here. And so if you haven't navigated this and you haven't been in these scenarios, how can you possibly know unless you're taught by someone? You listen to a podcast like this, learn from others in your brokerage who are more senior than you, who tell you how to do it. And even then, the challenge for less experienced agents is that, you know, it is difficult. It's difficult if you don't have the experience and you haven't been there before. It's the difference between like head knowledge and like having done it. Right.
Like you've actually been through.
There's a lot of power in being able to say, you're not talking from a textbook. You're going like, no, I did this with George and Brenda.
It's
and
the whole story thing you've talked about.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is a challenge for someone who's been licensed for 3 years, 4 years to like, they could listen to all of this and go, this makes perfect sense.
But then how to
now the implicating or implementing it is hard. So like, that's a real thing. I fully acknowledge that. But I would say, well, there isn't even that. That's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that people aren't asking the questions, learning this. What is the best strategy?
Well, I was going to ask you, how many of the buyers that are coming to you, those agents, are you having conversations with them saying like, why haven't you done this? Or
well, that's not the teaching moment, because if with the right agent, you can do that. But like, it's really hard to have that conversation and not have someone get their back up against the wall.
So you just basically take it and go.
You just like, So if you're in that scenario, you can say, listen, like as kindly as possible. You say like, hey, here's the deal. Like, we would do this, but here's how I think this needs to work. Here's how it would work. But here's the thing. If you have that conversation, so like, let's say you've got that property that sat on the market for 2 months or whatever, and you've only had those types of people come through. Our job as listing agents, like, don't write all those people off. Go follow up with all those people. Hey, did you guys like the home? Yeah, they like the home, but they don't like the price. Okay, fine, good. I get it. They don't like the price. Where are they coming from? What do they got to do? Well, they got to sell this. Okay, well, hypothetically, if they could get a number that they feel good about, would they buy this home, and what do you have to sell? And is there a way for us to piece this together? That is how I did the 4-stringer or 5-stringer, I guess it is. It was skilled agents having totally above the board ethical sidebar conversations. Like, no one's like selling anybody out here, but we were saying, how can we make this work? We know we have all of these people want these properties. It's our job to figure out how to get it done. So you have the conversations, and then you go back to your client. You say, hey, here is a possible path that we can maybe make work. And, we don't have anything in writing right now, but here's hypothetically the way I think it would go. Are we open to this concept? And if we're open to the concept, I'm going to go try to make it work. And worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work, but we tried. Like, this is sales. We are in sales. Like, whatever, like, this is the grind of sales, and we got to figure out how to do it. And, we are not order takers. We have been order takers. We are no longer order takers. This is equivalent to, like, think of it this way. It's like knocking on doors, right? Like, if you have clients either on the buying side or the selling side, that is a sales opportunity. In years gone by, that sales opportunity happened without us having to grind to make it work. Today, we got to grind, and this is something that has become a reality in our marketplace. There's transactions there staring us right in the face, and it just takes an extra level of thought and strategy and intelligence and openness with our clients. But they won't do it unless we can successfully talk them through it and lay all these things out from every perspective. And it can be done. We're watching it happen. There are, like, it's happening all around us. And, there's scenarios where you could say, well, it didn't happen well and it was mishandled, but there's good, well-handled situations happening right now. And there could be more. And the reason there's not more is because, in my opinion, this type of higher level strategy is not being thought through and implemented from both sides of the spectrum.
It's funny. It sort of like ties into something that I had written down prior to it, which was the question was sort of like, what if, and if was sort of like italicized, what if this is the market? Because we've talked about, agents, we haven't talked about, but I've heard agents talk about the market hopefully changing and getting better. But assuming that that's not going to happen for a while, and this is the normal market, one of the things I had written down was like, what's the difference for an agent right now? What should they be doing? If this is the norm, which it probably is.
Oh, this is the norm for the time being. Yeah. The norm is, like, we know this now. We've been in this for a while. It's in the selling season. It's roughly 1,000 transactions a month in the board, right? Through the MLS system.
Yeah.
I know there's off MLS stuff, but from like, what is it? March 1 to October, it's probably just over on average, like maybe averaging 11 or 1,200 transactions a month.
Yep. And
And then in the winter months, it's less. And lo and behold, we end up somewhere between 12 and 13,000 transactions a year, right? We've done this.
Yep.
And nothing's changing today. Of course, it would be amazing if we had 18 or 20,000 transactions a year. And if we did, well, okay, some of this becomes less relevant. But today, this is what we have. Sorry, what was your question?
It was just more of a question of what should they be doing now if this is the norm? I have heard agents talking about the idea that, when the market changes, it'll get better, or they're waiting for the market to get better, or they're hoping the market will get better. For the talk about the interest rates and a quarter point here and there. I'm not sure that stuff actually matters as much as people think it does. But if this is the market, if this is what we're getting into, what are agents doing then? Like, how are they switching that mindset to hope that maybe next year it'll be better? I've heard that talk as well. Like, in spring of next year, we'll probably be better.
Sure.
But right now, if an agent's trying to get busy, what should they be doing?
Well, it's two things. It's like skill improvement, which is exactly what this is.
How are you doing that though? If you don't, so let's say for an agent right now that wanted to improve that, what are they doing? What are they doing to try and improve that?
Well, they're having these types of conversations with the
client.
people. Well, first they're learning how to have the conversation. And then once you learn the skill,
then just hopefully from listening and
it's like this, it's this kind of stuff. It's talking to the leadership and, and talking to me, talking to whatever. All of the great, we have so many highly experienced agents in our brokerage who, like, I'm not the only one who would talk like this.
Yeah.
Like, there's a ton of people who know how to do this, and all you gotta do is pick up the phone.
Just reach out.
and some do. Like, there's many people, like, I have had this exact conversation with, a handful of agents at our brokerage who have, like, reached out to have the conversation.
Yeah. Which is good.
And there's other people that are having the conversations, not with me, but with, like, other experienced agents. And, but then it's one thing to have a conversation. It's another thing to apply it. And, so in answer to your question, what should people be doing? Well, there's two general things. It's expanding, honing your skill set so that you can be a more effective surgeon. If you want to, like, you're either getting a new scalpel or you're sharpening your scalpel, because every surgery that we're doing right now is a challenging surgery. And if you don't have the right tools, it ain't going to go well. But then that's on the execution perspective.
Now you got to get the patients that will let you cut them open.
Exactly. You got to and how do you grow your patients? You grow relationships.
Right.
That is, what has been a really, really revealing thing here in the last few years. If I go back through that 10-year boom that we talked about, generally speaking, the industry got so infatuated with activities that were not centered around growing your base of relationships, because, quite frankly, people didn't need to.
Yeah.
There was such a high percentage of the population that was transacting. You could get away with a small, inadequate base of relationships because of the volume of transactions.
Sure.
But then when the volume of transactions drops significantly, you realize that in today's world, you need a much more substantial base of relationships when so few people are
Are actually
transacting.
transacting.
So today, in an environment where we have roughly 1,000 transactions a month, you know, I know that not everybody like has a well-managed database, and whether or not you do or don't is actually irrelevant for this conversation. I like to say this number, like, you know, if you have 100 people, for every 100 people in your life that, not that you know, that know you.
Sure.
Okay. And that's not necessarily, like, I know we talk about CRMs and database plans and whatever. For a lot of people, it can look different. You know, maybe you're highly involved in your church or sports activities or volunteer things, whatever. But right now in this environment, I believe that if you have 100 people that know you, that will lead to roughly 10 transactions a year. And I would be willing to bet that, like, you know, if we looked at an agent who was struggling to sell 10 homes in a year, they might say, well, that doesn't matter. I know way more than 100 people. It's like, well, that's not the question.
Yeah. How many know you?
How many know you? How many think of you as like their person?
Right.
And I think that is actually where the biggest problem lies, is that because we've gone through a decade of people not needing to connect, not needing to build their relationship base. Do they know people? Sure, they know people. But guess what? A lot of those people they know like 17 other realtors. Yeah. If 100 people truly know you and they feel like you are in their life, whether it be through a database management program system or because you're volunteering hours at this charity or at this church or at this school or whatever. But if you got 100 people, so if you want to have 20 transactions in today's world, guess what? 200 people need to know you. Now, there's just because 200 people know you, that doesn't mean it's 20 transactions given. It could be 15, it could be 30, depending on how good you are at working those relationships for transactions. But the biggest problem that everybody has right now is they're looking at their numbers going, well, I don't like my numbers. I want them to be better. Well, where do numbers come from? They come from relationships. Not acquaintances, not people that you met once and you put into your phone and you're not ever in their life. You got to be in the lives of people some way, somehow. And so people who are thriving right now doing a high level or higher level of transactions, and they're, you know, maybe the numbers aren't as good as they were 7 years ago, but like they're, you know, top 100 or top 200 in the medallion stats or whatever. Those people, I promise you, they have a higher than average level of people that know them. And that's where transactions come from.
You partly actually sort of made it really easy for the next question that I was going to ask you, which was, if an agent had 2 hours a day to work on their business, what would you say they should be doing right now?
The most important thing we need is relationships. And so this is like, I had this conversation with Kurt Dirksen the other day. We were just talking about kind of this topic, and, you know, there's an exception to this rule. And the exception is, like, we see around us, it's generally in the higher producing, busier agents, not always, but there is ways that people can encounter business without these intimate relationships. And it's through mass marketing, right? So if you have a budget to spend $30,000 a year or more on mass marketing, and you can blanket neighborhoods with flyers and put yourself on bus benches and offer promos and spend a lot of money, you can, I don't take this the wrong way, but I call it manipulation marketing, right? You are manipulating a perfect stranger to reach out to you.
Yep.
You can generate transactions that way. Generally speaking, though, the people that we see doing that well are the higher producing agents, because this is the way they maintain their volume, and they have a big budget to spend on that.
Right.
The problem is like, well, okay, I'm a person who's selling, you know, in this environment, I've been selling 8 homes a year, and I want to sell 15 homes a year or 12 homes a year or whatever. Like, you know, I'm not talking about
just more.
I want to get an extra 3 or 4. Well, the easier, inexpensive way to get from 8 to 12 is to expand your relationships. And, I think the reason people don't do that is because while it's not expensive, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because it involves personal commitment.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be out of your comfort zone, out of your pajamas, out of your living room, at charity functions, at Rotary meetings,
right.
at volunteer things, meeting people, engaging with them, putting value into their life, right? Like delivering value.
Mm-hmm.
Those people then over time feel like they know you. And then when they or someone they know has a need, they're far more likely to call you because you're the person in their life. That's how you grow your base. You expand your relationships. If you want to get into marketing of some sort, yes, there are ways to do that. I have successfully marketed a neighborhood for many, many years, but that involves a spend.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say,
is that becoming less effective though? I feel like
it's way less effective than
you
because
used to be able to hit me with a flyer in the mail, and that was only one of like maybe 50 things I saw.
Totally. It's no different than absolutely. Like, I mean, just everything gets oversaturated, right? So now there's still successful ways to do that. And I mean, people have heard me say, like, you have to make sure if you're like, I believe
small. I remember
you're starting small,
yeah.
It's far more effective to have a high concentration on a smaller group of people than a low concentration on a large group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to layer your touches, right? So like, if you're going to go and implement a neighborhood thing or, bus benches or flyers or whatever, it needs to be in a geographical location where, in my opinion, where people are likely to see you in other scenarios,
right?
So that it's not just like, oh, here's a flyer, I've never met this person, and they never see you.
Yeah.
They see you at the school. They see you. So it's
smart.
It's in the neighborhood. You volunteer at that school. You're on the PAC committee or you're coaching basketball or whatever. You're on the bus bench that's right outside the school. So when someone sees you in their mailbox, they see your face on the bus bench, and then they see that you sponsored the basketball team that their kid plays on.
Right.
That's called layering.
Yeah.
That's effective because basic fundamentals of advertising is that people need to be hit a certain number of times with any product before they buy it.
Yeah.
We have a tall mountain to climb if we want to compete in that arena where we're trying to get that type of business.
Yep.
Business from perfect strangers who are calling you because of your marketing.
Yep.
Far easier to do it where you've layered your marketing, where those people might not know you personally, but they see you in other situations. They see you on the bench coaching basketball or volleyball. They see you at the PAC committee meeting. They like, right? And now there's trust that's built. They see that you're a real human being. You're invested in the community. That works.
Right.
And so, yes, that's a very effective strategy. But guess what? That takes money.
Mm-hmm.
There are strategies available that just take time.
Couldn't you do almost all of that stuff you said though, and just skip on the money side? Like like if you were just getting involved, I'm trying to think through, because the question was more like, if you have two hours a day, what are you doing to work on your business? If the idea is to grow relationships, then I'm trying to think in my head, like, all right, would you suggest agents are just looking around them at what things they can get involved in?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like, if I could be the head of UBC's Souter Business Real Estate program.
Yeah. You put more.
The most prominent thing in the course would be you are getting into a relationship business. Throw out all of the.
What they do at all. It's
throw out all the frickin' garbage that they teach about. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but forget about the ethics. Forget about the math.
Yeah.
And all this crap
Where's the
that we
actual
learn
sales teaching?
and go like here. Well, I'm not even saying you don't even have to get into sales teaching, but like there should be communicated, like you will fail miserably at this business if you don't understand that people need to know you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not like, I think part of what's gone on here in our societal shift is that relationships have, I'm not saying that this is an effective thing, but we've moved online, right? We believe, thank you, Mark Zuckerberg. We believe relationships exist online.
Yeah.
And so we're relying far too heavily on, well, I made a TikTok.
Digital
I made a
relationship.
TikTok and I got 300 likes and it got reposted and whatever. Those people don't know you.
No.
They see you. Yeah, we're all living for likes and whatever.
Yep.
They don't know you.
Yep.
When their grandma dies and grandma's place needs to sell.
Yep.
Is that like on TikTok causing them to call you? Now, the defenders who do that well, they would say, Andrew, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
I get that. I get it.
Sure.
There's a percentage of people who are living in the digital space that are doing it well. And they would tell me to shut right up because they're getting 7 deals a year. I would argue the numbers are always inflated.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm totally willing to admit, I know that works for some people.
Yep.
But that works for a small percentage.
Right.
And if that's going to be the way that you have relationship with people, well, you better not screw that up. You better know what you're doing and you better get that right. Because if you aren't belly to belly with people, investing in their life, showing them that you care, adding value in a traditional human way, then when grandma dies or my daughter needs to buy a first place or like whatever the need is, you're not top of mind. You're not. I would argue that still by and large, the person that's getting the call, maybe they have a digital footprint. Like maybe I know there's agents out there that do that really well, but like a lot of the calls they're getting is because someone knows them and trusts them.
Right.
And why is it? Why do they know them and trust them? Well, it's because they have found a crevasse into their life somehow, some way. And that is what's leading to the expansion of relationships and transactions.
Sweet.
Is that it?
Oh, I could go more.
Well, you can ask me.
The one thing I was going to ask you, actually, we're at July, getting towards the end of July right now. What are you doing through August to try and help your fall month?
I'm like, so, I mean, I think it's important for everybody to take time off. So I took some time off, I rejuvenated, and now like I am pounding my relationships. So
is your goal right now to
like
work
literally a thing that I'm doing?
Yeah.
I have printed off my entire list of clients on paper because I'm old fashioned.
Yeah.
I could scroll through my phone, but I like looking at paper. So I printed everything off, everybody on my database. I do this more than once a year, but this is a time I do this at the beginning of the year and I do it now.
Yep.
And I do it at the beginning of the year because the conversation is like, hey,
New
whatever,
year.
it's New Year, I'm touching in, whatever. They will have heard from me over Christmas with a Christmas gift, whatever. So, there's an opportune time to call. I won't talk about that, but like this is another version of that. So we've come through the spring market. Spring market's over. Change has happened, whatever. It's a reach out. And I'm not necessarily phoning every single human in my list, but I'm scrolling my list, reflecting on my list.
Your list is what? Your entire list of
everybody in my list. My list right now is, everybody's numbers are different, but like my list is probably around 240, 50 people or whatever, something like that. I'm not calling every one of them, but I'm emailing, texting, calling those that I think, I'm waiting for a feeling, a sign. Should I call this person? You know where they're at in their life.
Sure.
Maybe you haven't chatted with them in a while. Maybe you had a conversation a year or two ago, right? And it was just something was put on pause. But I'm reaching out saying, hey, I hope your summer's going great.
These phone calls, emails, what are these?
Everything, all the above, depending on the individual.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a person who's like
individualized.
I got people in my life where like they're big on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm there, but I'm not, but I might send them a message on Instagram because I know that's where
But they're individualized is what I mean. You're not like,
oh yeah, no. This is an individualized reach
Okay.
out. This is
Cool.
like, it's not shotgun, it's sniper.
Yeah.
You got the scope out and
Awesome.
your headshot, right?
Yep.
And it's like, it's the most wonderful thing because they love to hear like, hey, oh yeah, thanks for reaching out. And it's like, hey,
it's specific to them.
I'm wanting to know, would it be beneficial for us to talk about anything? And like, depending on the person, right? So like, I'll just think of one client in my head. Like, I know that like your kids are in college. I don't know if you're like thinking about beginning to navigate places for them, helping them get into something. We could talk about that. We could talk about your place. I don't know what, whatever, anything. Or if you just have general market questions,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to get up to speed on anything? If you make whatever, 40 of those calls, you're going to absolutely end up in some conversations that lead to some kind of business. Because don't forget, for every person you talk to, there's numbers on this. I don't know what the numbers are, but like, you can't just think like, okay, does Brian want to move?
Yeah.
No. Brian knows 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going, hey, I want to talk to you about this. Well, yeah, maybe we want to talk about it. And in that process, okay, or maybe you don't want to talk about it. Is there anybody else in your life that you would benefit from this? Like maybe you and I get together, have a quick coffee, and like, maybe it's not as relevant for you, but maybe you know somebody that you work with, that is friends with you or whatever.
Are you actually having that conversation with Brian, or are you just hoping that that's what will rub off on Brian?
Well, it starts with, hey, I'm reaching out.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to give people some value on what's been going on and what's happening and what I see happening coming down the pike.
I'm just going to say too, just a phone call, there's value.
Yeah,
in that, especially today.
And sometimes like some of these relationships are like close enough.
Sure.
Where like, it's not even a phone call asking for permission. It's a text saying like, hey, coffee next week. When are we going?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, we're having coffee. And then you get together, have coffee. Like, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on? And then inevitably the real estate market comes up in conversation. And then it's in that moment you go like, hey, here's what I see happening. Here's where the opportunities are. Do you or anyone else would someone benefit from this?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's where it goes. Mm-hmm. And like it's not, start with the easiest ones, right? Like I know that when you look at your list, I have this too. I go like, hey, geez, I haven't talked to them in like years. That would feel kind of awkward reaching out. Well, I don't start with that one.
Mm-hmm.
I start with the easier ones.
Yeah, build up some confidence.
And then you build some confidence. And then here's what happens though. So you start with the easier ones and you have something go really well. Well, guess what that does? That gives you the courage to call the person that you haven't talked to in 6 years, because now you're going like, now here's the conversation changes. Hey, so-and-so, hey, haven't talked to you in a long time. Hey, yeah, how are you? Whatever. Hey, I've been doing something for some of my clients that's been going over really well. And because we haven't talked in a long time, I just wanted to know, like, do you want to grab a coffee? You want me to stop by? I'd love to see your place. I want to give you this info, not knowing where you guys are at or whatever, but I want to equip you with this info and take 45 minutes of your time. And I think it'll be really beneficial for you or anybody else in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Not often people are going to say no to that.
Right.
And then the other thing that's happened with a lot of people you haven't talked to is you haven't seen their place in a while since you moved them in, because you didn't stop by with a gift afterwards. Mm-hmm. And they've done renos and you're like, hey, I want to see it. Mm-hmm. Show me your kitchen.
Yeah.
Show me your counter. Show me your new carpets, like whatever it is. Right.
Yep.
What's that? Someone wrote that quote on our,
Shelley wrote it.
Yeah. Shelley wrote business. What is it? Business happens where conversations begin.
Right.
Like, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Business begins where conversations begin. If you're not having conversations, you're not expanding business.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, what am I doing now? I am pounding my phone through email, text, calls, initiating these conversations.
Yeah.
The worst thing that happens is, so here's how the responses go. I've only just started this, but some early responses. Hey, we're away for the rest of the month.
Sure.
Catch up when we're back. Boom. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Note in the calendar, call this person
in the fall.
this week, or not even the fall, first week of August, second week of August, whatever. Some of the responses, hey, thanks so much. Really appreciate the offer. We're good for now. We'll let you know if we want to connect. Yeah, great. No problem. Hope you're well. Have a great rest of the summer. And then some of them are like, hey, yeah, you know what? We'd love to see you. We'd love to show you the kitchen because we've been wanting to get your thoughts on what our place is worth now that we did these rentals.
Sure.
I literally was just in one yesterday where that was the case. I met the person, sold this person a place 13 years ago, had not physically seen them until a few years ago. So they lived there almost a decade. I hadn't seen them. They get emails and letters and things like that. But like I hadn't seen them.
Yep.
Saw them a few years ago.
Curious, is there a reason that you didn't over that 10 years? Like
there was no reason to. Like, I mean, I stay in touch with them. They get my stuff, but like
you never actually
I didn't physically see it. Our lives don't interact, whatever. Sure. But like they know me.
But
why do they know me? No. They know me. They hear from me, but it's not like we hang out or physically interact, right? Mm-hmm. A few years ago, lo and behold, person reaches out. Hey, I'm considering a move. Don't know when it's going to happen, but want to get your thoughts on a renovation that I would do. That was a few years ago.
Mhm.
Okay. You have that meeting, you forget about it, whatever time goes by. Well, guess what? I phoned this person. And how did I have the call? Hey, how's it going? So-and-so, whatever. Hey, I'm spending some time this summer reaching out to people I haven't connected with. I remember you and I had this conversation about your reno.
Mhm.
I want to see your reno.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, funny that you called. Yes, I did the reno. Would love to show it to you, but I actually want to talk to you because that move that I talked about years ago, I think I'm going to be doing that now. I went and had that meeting yesterday.
That's awesome.
Now, had I not made the call, does he reach out to me? Maybe, but guess what? I made it happen. And like I'm sitting I went to a conversation that basically very quickly turned into a listing appointment. Now, it's not listed right now, but it's going to come to market. And it was because I called this individual I hadn't talked to in years about seeing their kitchen rental.
But I think that the value in that is that, and I think a lot of people miss it, is that you keep your notes and then you reference that back when you call them,
you have to
feel good as the person on the other
So
end.
that is, so absolutely, not every time, but most of the time when I have a convo, I make a note. It goes in the database,
which is built into Sphere. I know, I'm not just trying to sell it, but the fact that you can add a note to every.
Well,
I
dumped Top Producer, and I was on Top Producer for years, and Top Producer was fine. It was great. It worked for me. There was nothing wrong with it. But yeah, Sphere has different capabilities, and Sphere's not perfect.
No.
There's other programs out there. Like I know people are like, oh, Follow Up Boss is amazing.
Sure.
Or whatever.
In the end, they all do the same.
They're all, whatever. It's, I have, whenever you change programs, you adapt the way you do things for the program.
Yeah.
Because no program is totally manipulatable or whatever. You can't customize
the way you want it.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there were some things about Sphere when I switched from Top Producer. I was like, I don't really like that. Well, guess what? Like a year later, this is just how I do it now.
Yeah.
And you just change. And then
but so you do keep notes of like these.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So yeah. And this individual was impressed by the fact that I remembered some things. I didn't remember. Well,
no, of course
I
you didn't
remember them. I remembered them because I looked in the notes and I was
which
like,
is what they're for.
Sure. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So I didn't even think, you know what, honestly, when we were having this I didn't even think about referencing that conversation, but it just turned out what you asked, it made sense. And yesterday I had that meeting. So that was one of my initial calls. And it was like, you could say fluke, chance, whatever, but like, that doesn't happen without making the call. Maybe he ends up calling me anyway, but I initiated and I had a meeting with him before it would have happened for him reaching out.
Yeah. See that, what you just walked through, like how you will work through the summer, that to me, I can resonate a bit more with the idea of like what you would spend, if you were going to spend 2 hours a day doing stuff on your business. I can get with that. That one makes sense. It's the trying to make new relationships that.
Well, the new relationships, that there's strategy involved in that, right? Like you can't just say, it's really hard to wake up on a random Tuesday and go, okay, I'm going to go make new friends. Like there needs to be, okay, what am I going to do to do that? But it's not even, I don't even want to overcomplicate it. So like, okay, like, I mean, some people might think this is like cheesy or whatever, but, and I'm not saying I've done this, so I don't want to speak from the perspective that I've done all these things, but like you can go on Facebook right now and get like, okay, I'll use an example of like one thing I would do if I was doing something. I love my dog. My dog's amazing. He's a doodle. He's my best friend. Take that however you want.
Yeah.
I could go on Facebook anytime I want and join a doodle Facebook group in Abbotsford or the Fraser Valley or whatever. And I could go on walks with other doodle owners in my neighborhood and spend time with them weekly. This can happen at any time. And guess what? What do we have? We all have something very, very important in common. We all have a doodle. Now, no doodle is as good as my doodle, but that's fine. I could show them what it's like to have the best doodle.
Nice it is to have your doodle.
How nice is that my doodle? So like it is not, like I said, it involves strategy. That involved 30 seconds of strategy. I literally just thought of that in my brain right now. I had not thought of that. There's Facebook groups for everything. Maybe you like to puzzle. Maybe you like to read Michael Crichton books. Maybe you like, I don't know. There is something for everything. That's the beauty of social media. See, the problem is I think people use social media as the end game. It's a means to an end. It's the pathway into actual human relationship. When Zuckerberg came up with this idea, the social network, he didn't in his brain go, I don't know, Mark, but like he didn't in his brain go, we're gonna build this platform, we're gonna connect with people, and then we're just gonna like text each other back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way people interacted back then. It was a pathway into more human connection. We can utilize social media right now as a pathway into more human connection, and that's one of the amazing things that can be achieved in doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is we all get on, we stop the train, and we never find our way into real human connection. We're just sitting here in the freaking ether, texting, liking, whatever, and we don't actually have more people that truly know us, that feel connection. And when you feel connection with somebody, when you have shared common interests and values, those are the people that buy and sell with you when they have a connection with you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, for a lot of people in the Fraser Valley, where that has worked is through church community involvement, right? We got a heavy dose of all kinds of churches here in the Fraser Valley, and there's a long list of realtors who've done really, really well over their career because of the social network they have in the confines of their church.
Yeah.
We can recreate. There are churches amongst us everywhere. There are Doodle churches. There are Michael Crichton churches. There are Lee Child Reachers, book that I'm reading right now. There's churches all around us. There's communities of people that have shared common values. They believe the same things and they're passionate about those things. And they will transact in all of life. They'll buy their home insurance. They'll buy their shoes. They'll get a car. They'll whatever. They're going to rely on those that they have shared common values with. So that's the you can right now, if you want to expand your base of relationships, the work and the scary part is you got to get out and you got to be with people. And I know that that's terrifying for a lot of people. But that's what you got to do. But it's a lot easier if you're with people who you've got common interest with. Right?
Cool.
Maybe I'm going to do a doodle group. Doodle group. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dogs are, whatever. Pets, whatever. People have, I know there's people in book clubs. I started reading, I'll tell a little story. So when I was in high school is when Lee Child rose to prominence. Lee Child is the author of the Jack Reacher series.
Oh, okay.
So
freaking awesome.
So yeah, it's incredible. So this is a fun little reminiscing story about my mom who passed away a number of years ago, but my mom was an avid reader. And in our house, we had just novels, every New York top seller list. Dude, we had hundreds of books. And so I credit my mom with getting me into reading because I was a teenage kid. I don't want to read. Why would I want to read? But she got me into, I read the entire Lord of the Rings before the movie came out. That was a long,
the biggest book.
Holy cow, those are crazy. But so Lee Child starts writing, I think it was mid-90s. The Killing Floor was the first book. And so I hadn't read a novel. I used to be a person that reads a ton. I don't read a ton anymore.
I found it's got harder.
I haven't read a ton. Yeah, just less time, whatever. But I would say in the last decade, I've read very little in comparison to what I used to read before that. So anyways, when we went away on this last vacation, I thought, you know what, 2 weeks away, I'm going to read a couple books. So I decided to go way back. I read The Killing Floor when I was 16, 15 years old or whatever, but I thought I'm going to start at book 1. There's 20 books or something.
Okay.
And I'm just going to work my way through this.
It's a story that carries through all of
It's the same character.
Oh, cool.
And it carries through, and he's a, he's ex Black Ops military, whatever. Amazing.
Coolest guy ever.
He's obviously would be best friends.
Definitely
we have so much in common.
100%.
I would kill people the way you kill people.
That's how I would do it too.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're the same structure. He's 6'5", 225. So anyways, there's this now, Amazon, it's reignited the interest in the book series because Amazon Prime started releasing. And so I think
and he's true to the book. He loves the book. The guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, they're I've watched. There's 2 or 3 seasons now, or maybe there's been
4th or 5th.
Yeah, and so I've watched them all, and they're hand picking the books. They're not doing it chronologically. Now, the first one they did, the first season was The Killing Floor,
Okay.
which was book 1.
Oh,
But
interesting.
now they're jumping all over the place. And I have only read, I'll bet you I've read, I mean, I can't remember because a lot of it was when I was a teenager, but I probably read 5 or 6 of them
Mhm.
or something, but I won't even remember them. So I reread The Killing Floor, even though I'd read it before and watched season 1, but it was still amazing.
Mhm.
And then I read the second one, and I can't even remember the name of it now. I just read it a few weeks ago and it's lost on me. But anyways, so like you could like literally, if I wanted, I could go on Facebook,
Oh my God. You wouldn't
go on to a Lee Child friend
find a
group,
Reddit group too.
or Reddit or
Yeah.
whatever, it based geographically
Yep.
here. Like there's worldwide ones, but then you can also say like, no, I'm in the Fraser Valley.
Yeah,
I wanna
Fraser
get-
Valley. Mhm.
And these people like get together
Yeah.
once every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
They talk about the books they've read or whatever.
Mhm.
This is human connection,
Yeah.
and you have something in common.
Mhm.
And are you going to encounter some weirdos? Yeah,
Sure.
of course.
But they got to buy.
But I'm a weirdo. I'm a weirdo to people.
Right? Yeah.
Like we're all weirdos.
Mhm.
Everybody's a weirdo. I have some things about me. I know that people go like that. Bracewell, he's weird.
Yep.
That's different. He's funny the way he does that. Okay, well, guess what?
Not the way
That's
I
what
would
makes the
kill
world
people.
go round and round. That's all the colors of the rainbow right there. So, yeah, like I highly, highly, highly encourage people to find your pathway into more relationships where you are willing to be known by people.
Yeah.
You're vulnerable in relationship. You tell them who you are. You don't hide yourself, and you expose yourself to humanity. And in doing that, that is what leads to more relationships. And guess what? More transactions, because this business is just a relationship business.
Perfect.
There you go. So now what are we? We're July, what is it? July 22nd?
Yep. Somewhere around there.
Everyone's got lots of time. Find a new expansion of relationship this summer, and expand your, not people you know, people that know you. There's a big difference.
And start working on the list that you are on, that you.
Yeah, make the
I think
calls.
what you were talking about was
Send-
awesome.
Send the emails, send the messages, however people want to receive things. Yeah, just be in people's lives.
Cool.
That is the key. Got to be in people's lives.
Sweet.
Okay, man. We'll do this again soon.
Yeah. We don't really have anything through the summer. We have no office meeting.
Yeah, we
in
don't have an
August.
office meeting in August because everyone's away and we give everyone a break. I did want to say, so there has been some chatter. Some people have asked, hey, we did those Monday meetings.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
and then they disappeared. We didn't do them
Yeah,
anymore. Well, we started them at the very end of like the middle of, we started them in June.
It was supposed to run through spring. Or
No. We only did a few.
What? Wasn't it in the
Maybe we started in May.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we ran them for a few weeks, and we just wanted we wanted to see what the interest would be. So we started slow. We didn't pump it everywhere.
No,
we just we did tell
And it definitely
people.
started slow.
We
which is-
emailed people, whatever.
Yeah.
But so bottom line is this: I'm going to do that again
Okay.
now that I'm back.
Yep.
And I'll do it for the remainder of the summer. I mean, there might be the odd week that we tell people we're not doing it. Like, who knows? Like, maybe
Sure.
I'm going to be away for a weekend. I'm
So
not
when
back
we're
on Monday.
doing them, what's the method that people should find out? Like how?
So we will post through all of our channels. Like, people can just know. Like, so like starting next Monday. At
We're aiming
11
for Mondays at 11.
Yeah.
or
What did we call it again? We called
the
it
Week.
Win the Week. Yeah. Win the Week. So, there's no like, all this is it's a quick half hour to 40-minute hit at 11 a.m. on Mondays. Yes, there's strategy behind that time. We're not doing first thing in the morning on Mondays because oftentimes on Mondays, people got to get stuff going. 11 a.m. is kind of like, can be a bit of you've gotten the immediate need out.
Right.
And then it's right before lunch. Take a quick half hour. And there's not really an agenda that I
No.
bring to the meetings. Now, I might have something I want to share, but it is designed to connect with your peers.
Yeah.
What's going on? Who's struggling with something? We
Yep.
kick it around the group. We hopefully come away from that 30 minutes equipped. Like if you've brought a problem
Yeah.
or a challenge, bring the challenge.
Which is perfect.
We'll brainstorm it.
Yep.
Or whatever. You don't know how to do something.
Mhm.
It's not designed like we're not getting into like, whatever. In that moment, we're not sharing screens and going, well, how do I
No,
do this digitally or
No.
whatever? It's just talk and strategies.
Yeah.
You can talk about that listing you got coming up or you got a buyer, but like,
Marketing
we've
thoughts you have or
had,
whatever.
we did it. We ran it a few weeks. There was maybe a meeting or two where we had 10 people on the call. And then there was a meeting or two, like I got completely blanked one week. Nobody showed up, and that's okay. But like, I didn't, so we took a break. I was going away, and I know beginning of July, like everyone kind of checks out. But
our plan had originally been, I think, to stop around July because you were going to be going away.
Yeah. But we didn't communicate that. We just, whatever. It wasn't, but now that I'm back, I'm happy to run that through the summer. But that being said, if nobody shows up, then I'm not going to keep doing things that nobody comes to. I think I get the sense that some people liked it. So
it's not a session where you're coming to listen to Andrew talk. Like that's not the idea.
I engage. I mean, you know me.
No. Yeah, I know. But it's not a training session. It's not like it's come to converse.
No. It's not. It's collaboration.
Yeah.
It's learning. It's strategizing. It's stuff that we've talked about here.
Yeah.
Right. How should I do this? What do you think of this? This is what I've run into. And it's just a quick hit. It's 30, 40 minutes tops. I say 30 minutes and everyone's busy. They got stuff to do. And, it's just a quick hit and it gets you in the right mindset for Monday. So if you're slagging and you slept in and, you didn't, whatever, you want your week to start right, then that's fine. Or if you had to get a bunch of things pounded out and, that's why we picked the time of 11 a.m. And then everyone goes on their way.
I think that's awesome.
So this is posted like, it's always the same.
It's always
Zoom link doesn't change.
Never changes.
Same Zoom link. And so there will always be a notification and a reminder about it. And of course, when we get into like the long weekend or whatever, like there's going to be weeks it doesn't happen, but we'll communicate it regularly now for the remainder of the summer. And then we'll see, like if it catches on and people want to keep doing it in the fall, then we might, but I'm not going to, whatever. If we do it for a run and turn it off for a while, that's okay too.
Yeah. Awesome. Sweet.
Okay. Thanks, dude. See you, everybody.